Stalin and the Nazis were these welfare state types. One of us is a stand-up comic. Can you tell who it is, ladies and gentlemen? Peckerwood Brick.
But the problem...
Oh my God, that's like, I could use that to teach the whole arc. Do we have any kind of archaeological evidence, any kind of other corroborating evidence?
This is a Geek History of Time,
where we connect nerdery to the real world. I'm Ed Blaylock. I'm a world history teacher, and I have one section of English. It's an orphan class that, here in Northern California, and I have been a geek at the very least since I was in the third grade, and got introduced to Advanced Dungeons & Dragons at a weekend enrichment program through my school. And you, sir?
I'm Damian Harmony. I'm a Latin teacher and soon to be a social science teacher yet again, returning back to the hallowed halls of sacred history, teaching world history at the high school level.
Welcome back to the club.
Thank you. In addition to the Latin program that I have been building for these 12 years. And I have been a geek for quite some time. One of my most recent favorite geek memories is that my daughter is playing a wizard, and they leveled in the middle of a dungeon.
Okay.
How is a wizard supposed to get new spells? Study, right?
Spontaneous understanding. Okay.
Oh, that's a sorcerer.
Well, okay, so
like she's got to have new spells to put in her spell book and all that, so it's going to take time. So I basically aged some paper by spilling tea on it, ripped it up a little bit, found a draconic alphabet.
Very cool.
Printed out a riddle that essentially was... I did this for 3 different spells because she gets 3 new spells at her next level. They were all the things that she liked, but she had to decode the draconic alphabet and then figure out what the riddle was saying. And if she could do that, she could have the spell. She dove right in, and now she bought herself that green journal that you see over there, right next to the dragon writing book.
Yeah.
She now is keeping those spells in that book.
Oh, very cool.
So that's the geek that I am.
I like it.
Yeah. What you reading?
I like it. I am reading How the Scots Invented the Modern World. The true story of how Western Europe's poorest nation created our world and everything in it by Arthur Herman. As I've said before, it sounds chauvinistic. It is a little bit chauvinistic. It is definitely a rah-rah kind of argument, but it does make some compelling points about how the unique characteristics of the Scottish Enlightenment led to the advancement of other ideas politically throughout Western Europe, and thus to the modern world that we live in today. How about you?
I am reading Livy.
All right. Just make me sound like an uneducated...
Yeah, last time I was reading The Far Side, so
history.
I think you're fine.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm reading Livy, who is a shitty historian, but for the time...
All the Roman historians were.
For the time, he was great.
They relied on Herodotus, for God's sake.
Yeah, he went for Polybius.
Yeah, okay.
And yeah, he never actually visited the places he studied.
No.
But fun thing about Livy was he loves giving this two-handed approach. He'll say, some people say the Horatii fought for Rome. Others say the Curiatii fought for Rome. Most of us think that it's the Horatii, so I'm going to go with that. Or some of my other favorite explanations.
Okay.
Some people say that the father of these 2 offspring was Mars, having raped Rhea Silva. Other people say that she had sex with a guy, but she named Mars because it was better being a Vestal virgin to have been raped by a god than having consensual sex with a human. Whatever the issue, she had 2 kids. or 2 more of my favorites.
Okay.
One, Some say Aeneas was born to Creusa in Troy and followed his father all over the place. Others say that he was born to Lavinia. Whatever the case may be, he started Alba Longa. Like, he just screen wipes through shit.
Just, yeah.
Or my absolute favorite.
Okay.
Some people say that Romulus and Remus were nursed by a she-wolf.
Okay, yeah, we all know that myth.
Right. Others say that because Laurentia's body was common to all the shepherds around, she was called a she-wolf, which is a Latin term for whore.
Wow. Wow.
So he's like, it might be supernatural. It might be mundane. Oh,
we don't know.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So I love it.
So have you read the Foundation series by Arthur C. Clarke?
No.
Not Clarke. Sorry. Foundation is Asimov. Sorry.
Also, no.
Okay. One of the interesting things about Foundation is that he specifically name checks as a late imperial period thing. Historians who never go to the places that they study, archeologists who don't ever actually visit archaeological sites. Yeah, it's a tagged part of psychohistory. This is one of the things to look out for.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's he did his research is what I'm saying. So speaking of research,
yes,
in our last episode we were talking about the influence of agrarian ideas on the foundations of Dungeons and Dragons. And especially this paradigm of what happens when you become a fighter at high level. In first edition AD&D. Now, it's important for me to clarify. As time went on, I want to talk a little bit about the development of the game from here. This was the very beginning of the game. When Unearthed Arcana was published in the early 80s, I'm trying to remember what year off the top of my head. I don't have that book in front of me. When that got published, fighters, that was when fighters got the ability to specialize with a specific weapon. That was kind of the one bone that got thrown because that book also introduced the barbarian class, which did everything fighters did and some other stuff, and the stuff that fighters did, much of it they did better. Okay. Also introduced the cavalier class, which did everything fighters did and some other stuff on top of that, and then did that same stuff that fighters did better. And so the sop that fighter players got thrown was, hey, now you get to specialize in a weapon because fighting is like your thing. Mind you, if fighting is the same thing a cavalier does, fighting is the same thing a barbarian does. But anyway, you get to weapon specialize. Yay, you. And then we're going to give you some tables to use to determine what do your followers look like when they show up. When you build this freehold, you get to roll on a table because everything has to have a dice table in first edition AD&D. Right. Like, you can't just have the DM actually say, okay, here's what you get. No, it's got to have a table. We got to randomize everything because Gary Gygax. And so that was basically it. Now, second edition kind of still stuck with the same idea, but everybody who was sort of like a fighter got the ability to get followers. Rangers in second edition got the ability to attract followers. Okay. They didn't get a freehold. That was not part of the process because Rangers don't settle down. Rangers wander the wilderness.
I'm sorry. I still don't give a shit about getting fake property in a fantasy game.
Money, money, money. Who do you trust? It's all about income.
Okay.
It's all about wealth. It's all about power. And it's all about the underlying trappings and the world building involved in it. It's prestige. Okay. Okay. You're the one, as the fighter, you're the one who gets to be a lord at the end of everything. And you get to be the founder of the kingdom that everybody is working toward trying to achieve because that's the thing. I guess.
Big swing and a miss for me. Yeah, but yeah. I get it. Like, it's very much a product of, like I said last time. Yeah. He's a product of where he grew up. Yeah. He's a product of the ideology that he swam in.
Yeah, and it's a product of the same idea that led to, of colonial ideas, the idea of the core idea of colonialism, which is You set out, you establish civilization in the benighted wilderness, and the idealized view of it is you wander out into the wilderness and you spread the civilizing influence of whatever civilization you're coming from.
Right.
So in 2nd edition, that's how it grew. In 3rd edition, they do away with the idea of establishing a freehold altogether.
Yes.
That goes away completely. And everybody gets the ability to attract followers by taking the feat leadership.
Oh, yeah.
At 4th level,
yeah,
you could take the feat. You had to be at least 4th level.
Right.
You could pick up the feat as part of your advancement process, part of the skills tree. You get leadership at 4th level, and that means, okay, now we take your charisma score,
right,
which no longer is completely a dump stat, because now you can do this with it, and you use that to determine how many henchmen do you get, which is like people who are like, no, you're my dude, I'm with you, ride or die.
They're basically
kind of
cowing at jars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically. And then
they're there to mini tank for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, and then different mechanics existed in 4th edition. I haven't actually looked closely at how it works in 5th yet, because we haven't gotten anywhere near where that's a thing in the campaign we're playing in. But in the very beginning of the game, this was what made fighters special at high level.
Okay.
Because, again, wizards gained infinite cosmic power with the wish spell, with time stop, with all the high level kind of magical fuckery they could do.
Right.
Everybody else, druids had the ability to change shape. Well, they had the ability to get the spell to allow them to change shape.
Wow.
At this point in the game. Clerics were the ones that could resurrect anybody when they died.
Right.
So other characters get all these supernatural wacky stuff, and as a fighter, you're rooted in the very physical reality of hitting stuff with a sword or an axe or a mace or whatever. And so your toy is followers. You're the one who gets to be the lord. You're the one who gets to be the king at the end of everything.
What about thief?
Well, again, thieves went into the city and they established themselves as mob bosses.
So
basically.
They did the urban version.
They did the urban version of this.
Of feudalism.
What's interesting, and I didn't bring this up in the last episode, is that when a thief establishes a thieves guild, they don't get the same constant level of income that you get from establishing a freehold. If I flip here to talking about thieves, any thief character of 10th or greater level may use his small castle-type building. Oh, I'm sorry, I got to go back a paragraph. Thieves cannot build strongholds as some other classes of characters do. Some other classes, we mean fighters. They're the only ones.
So thieves can't have real estate.
Yeah. Hold on. They can, however, build a tower or fortified building of the small castle type for their own safety, but this construction must be within or not more than a mile distant from a town or city.
There's zoning laws.
Yeah, in D&D.
In D&D.
Yes.
Okay.
Gary Gygax. Of course he introduced zoning laws. Okay, so any thief character of 10th or greater level may use his small castle-type building to set up a headquarters for a gang of thieves, and he or she will accordingly attract from 4 to 24 other thieves, 4 dice 6. However, this will bring the enmity of the local thieves guild, and they will struggle to do away with the rival organization. Once begun, warfare will end only when and if all the master thieves on either or both sides are dead, or if the thief character removes to another locale. Number one, there's the automatic assumption there is a thieves guild wherever you're setting up.
Because it's urban.
By the way, this is all taken straight out of Fritz Lieber.
Okay.
And Lankmar.
Okay.
If you want to read a fun set again of like there's some issues in here based on when it was published that didn't age well, but they're a really fun set of adventure stories. Fafhrd and the Grey Mouse it's awesome.
Okay.
But anyway, this is taken straight out of that. This is also Kugel the Clever and the Dying Earth. And like we said, the underlying idea that, it's an urban area, so automatically it's corrupt. So you're automatically going to have a mob war, and, you're hopefully going to be able to convince your fighter buddy and your other friends from your adventuring days to help you, win it.
Uh-huh.
This is a campaign hook in the same way that the fighter clearing the area around his stronghold is a campaign hook. That's what you do for the last couple of levels before you max out in the PHB. Now notice, when you do that, it just says there's automatically going to be a gang war, and you have 4 to 24 thieves working for you. It doesn't say anything about having a fixed income. The fighter gets 7 silver pieces a fucking head.
Right.
Like, for everybody who settles in his territory, because happy farmers.
This goes back to Rome. This 100% goes back to Rome, and here's why.
All right.
If you wanted to retire, and you wanted a lot of land, 40 acres, let's say, you have to go out to the provinces, the edges of the provinces. You were a 25-year veteran of the war under Caesar, at least.
Yeah.
Some people got to retire earlier, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
So now the province border is dotted with people who are really good at fighting those same folk.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to get 40 acres, if you wanted to be closer to Rome, therefore closer to the center of power, you could get 20 acres inside the borders.
Okay.
If you wanted to get real close to Rome, maybe 10 acres. If you wanted to take a stipend and just live free in the city, you could do that too.
Huh.
You know what soldiers are really good at doing in a city?
Holding sharp pieces of metal in front of other people and saying, "Give me all your cash"?
Yeah, I mean, you can't wear your soldier's garb, but you can wear a tunic and have your own dagger and shit like that. Yeah. So very often that was what former soldiers did, was they worked for local enforcers. The mafia.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
So, thieves, urban, already a rival gang. Very true. They would also hire themselves out to politicians to be rabble-rousers at public events, like trials.
Nice.
Yeah. In fact, during the trial of Milo, who killed Clodius on the Appian Way, they were both traveling with about 30 gladiators and other slave types.
Former soldier types.
Yep. And they're traveling, and then they get into a big skirmish, and I mean, Milo didn't mean to kill Clodius, but once Clodius got hit in the arm with the spear, he's like, well, fuck, I gotta kill him now, because if he stays alive, then he's gonna be more dangerous. And then Milo gets put on trial about 4 days later. Rome burns. There is a giant, the body of Clodius gets brought back in. His wife, Fulvia, incites the crowd to riot. They then take his body, naked as it is, and put it in the curia as the funeral pyre, and they burn the shit down.
Wow.
This is why Caesar got killed in the Pompeian Theater, by the way, not in the curia.
Yeah.
So the curia burns down, which is like if, Bruce Willis gets killed by a rival acting gang or something. And then everybody's like, fuck that, we're going to take it to the Capitol building. And then they burn down the Senate House.
Wow.
That's how big that a deal is. So then he gets put on trial.
Okay.
Milo gets put on trial, and Cicero defends him. And Cicero's like, well, yeah, my client killed him, but, he had to. And besides, here's my favorite part of the defense, Clodius was probably fucking his sister. And she's a whore. And then a group of people started singing songs already prepared about how Clodius was banging his sister.
Okay, wait.
And then they all started spitting at each other, and then, Pompey had to leave because it was turning into a riot, and I think Cicero got thrown off the rostrum.
Okay, wait.
And then a few days later, they finished the trial. Yes?
Wait, back up.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You lost me at the point where Cicero...
Yes.
Who is one of these people that we point to in the Western canon as, the king of rhetoric.
Oration, yeah.
Resorted to, he was having carnal relations with his sister.
Yeah. Because she's hot.
Really?
Yeah, and she's older.
So, obviously, ipso facto.
Right.
To engage in a little of my
Ipso
own dog
facto.
Latin. Yeah.
Am I right?
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I say no more.
So,
clearly she's a goer, eh?
just to go a little further.
Yeah.
Cicero, yes, just because you'll love the end of this.
Okay.
Cicero had to be killed for the second triumvirate to work. Mark Antony said, I ain't joining unless he's on the dead list.
Yeah.
Augustus reluctantly agreed, and Cicero gets killed. Now, Mark Antony hated Cicero. Cicero hated Mark Antony. Mark Antony at one point promised Cicero, I will nail your hands to the Curia door.
Oh, no.
So he did. They also brought back his head.
Fuck, seriously?
Yeah, no, he's dead already.
I know, but like went to the trouble to presumably have somebody cut his hands off.
Yeah, actually, Mark Antony might have been the one to do it. I don't know. He was a brutish man. So here's...
I'm just saying, when we're talking about Romans, singling anybody out as a brutish man means something.
Yes, it does.
I'm going to point out, again, these are people who thought that a public execution was a good day out.
Yes.
Wow.
So, the best
Holy
part...
crap.
They also removed his head. It was placed in the forum. Clodius's wife, Fulvia, goes up to his head.
Oh, no.
Takes out her hairpins and stabs his tongue.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway.
The civilization that we point to is the pinnacle of the founding of Western civilization, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. But wow. Yeah, if you were in the city, you were potentially a thief.
Potentially.
With your skills.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were in the country, you were a respected yeoman.
Farmer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, wow. Holy crap. So that idea of the corruption of the urban and the respectability of the yeoman and all that carries from the Romans all the way up through, the founding of the Republic. We talked in the last episode about, Jefferson and Hamilton, or not Hamilton, Madison, I should say, not Hamilton. Not Hamilton. Mm-hmm. Jefferson, Madison, Washington.
Yeah.
To a lesser extent, Washington was not as loud about it. But the ideology that they all carried was the yeoman farmer is the foundational figure of a successful Republican, small r, Republican government.
Horace wrote about this in his satires.
Yeah, and they were all actively, constantly looking back to the Roman Republic as the model for everything they did. That's the reason all of our government architecture looks the way it does.
It's the story of the town mouse and the country mouse.
Yeah. Yes, very much. So, and as I pointed out at the very end of our last episode, this is also a regional division between the urbanized mercantile north and the agricultural slave-owning south. It's part of what drove the sectionalism that eventually led to secession. Mm-hmm. And this ideology, this holding farmers on a pedestal, drove government policy for centuries. Well, maybe not centuries, but many decades. To start with, as you mentioned at the very end of our last episode, Jefferson made the Louisiana Purchase.
Yes.
Specifically to secure a vast area for the nation to expand westward, precisely because he saw it as vital to the Republic's survival. Mm-hmm. He was convinced that if the nation was not able to expand, that it would automatically, inevitably, descend into urbanized despotism. Mm-hmm.
Specifically urbanized.
Yes.
I just really want to pound that home.
Yeah.
The thief, the dishonest one you can't trust,
is in the city.
Yeah.
And he probably winds up taking his ill-gotten gains and founds a bank.
Right.
Because, holy crap, you can't trust bankers.
Right.
And by the way, who died in debt?
Let me think. Jefferson?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, bankers suck, clearly.
Right. They're the problem.
Right. They're totally the problem. Not the fact that he didn't know how to run his business affairs to save his goddamn life.
How shitty a person do you have to be that we're standing for bankers?
I know. We are standing for bankers right now. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So the Louisiana Purchase is the first, most obvious example of this as policy. I talked about the Revolution as being the very beginning of this. I mean, we can't say it's policy because there wasn't anybody to make it really policy, but it was the motive. And now we get to talk about our other favorite president, whose last name begins with a J.
Oh, I know who this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the first Western president.
Yes.
He set up latifundia, but pretended to be a commoner.
Yeah.
He had, I think, the most slaves out of all the presidents that we had up to that point.
You know that I don't know.
Pretty close. I know he had somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 something.
Holy moly.
I want to say 210, but
okay.
You know what? Those of you out there in the Twitter world, feel free to get at me at Harmony on Twitter and correct me.
Yeah.
Or at Geek History Time. And please correct me.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had over 200 slaves, and the only president to ever be a prisoner of war.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was the only president to have been captured.
This is true.
And
I like presidents who weren't captured.
Oh, weird.
Oddly enough.
So yeah, and the one who said, wipe them all out.
Yeah.
As national policy.
Yeah, pretty much. So we are, of course, talking about Andy Jackson. And the policies that have been obliquely already referred to are the Indian Removal Act, which led to the Trail of Tears. Mm-hmm. And that was carried out specifically to clear land for white settlers to take ownership of it and expand this independent landowning class. Never mind the fact, of course, that the Cherokee were themselves essentially already yeoman farmers.
Right.
And better at it than the people who moved into their territory.
They literally had home field advantage.
And they had actually adopted scientific methods for farming. They'd figured out how to do it better.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then going farther forward, westward expansion across the Mississippi onto the Great Plains, and up until the close of the frontier. Mm-hmm. All of it.
1896
was just D&D fighter advancement written on a massive scale. Every single one of these guys in his own head is that 9th level fighter heading out, setting up his freehold, literally freehold. I mean, that was the term in many cases they used. Find a patch of land, cut down the trees, drive off the natives and the wolves, and plant a farm growing wheat, corn, whatever it is in that part of the country. The Mexican War. Was a land grab. It was a territory grab.
Wait. Ronald Reagan said we never fought a war for territory, though.
Yeah, well, Reagan probably got C- in history.
That's a good point.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did. We did. We owned Cuba for a very short period of time, and we owned the Philippines for a slightly longer period of time.
Yep.
On a historical scale, slightly. And so the Mexican War was what got us California, what got us Texas. I'm just saying.
Yep.
And now that specifically, of course, was very much driven by tension over slavery.
Right.
Because by that time we had the Mason-Dixon line having been established, and so it needed to be territory far enough south that the landowning class that were descended from Jefferson could have slaves on the land that they were now wanted to take. Because again, they're just yeoman farmers writ large.
Right.
No, they're not. But anyway.
No, it's just a matter of scale.
Totally a matter of scale.
Yeah.
And human bondage.
Yeah. Well,
I
don't want to kink shame.
And an economic system built on, ownership.
Chattel slavery. Yeah. Well, okay.
Now that's all it is.
Now you're nitpicking.
That's all it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, so again, you still see the same tension that Jefferson was talking about, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like he was talking about that tension because that system creates that tension.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
go back to the Romans again.
Yeah.
And that system does create that tension.
You ever need expansion.
Yeah. Any colonial kind of system, unless it figures out how not to be a colonial system, when it stops expanding, it's going to wind up folding in on itself. That's what happened to the Roman Empire. Mm-hmm. That's the reason.
With a few hiccups of reasonable leaders actually saying, whoa, let's pull back just a little bit and build walls to keep out the redheads.
Well, yeah.
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 Now, I will say this. Rome, prior to the accidental inheritance of the Carthage Empire.
Okay.
Prior to that,
Yeah.
they were doing pretty well with yeoman farming. But that's not to say that they hadn't expanded for the first several hundred years. They had. They
totally
the
had.
Italian wars, Sicily, all that. Like they took
ideologically
over the boot.
to them, the big deal with the Italian wars was if we don't kill off the Celts are going to kill all of us off because they had a very primal, like identitarian, existential kind of fear,
and a legit one too. They'd been sacked in the 400s.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not arguing against it. I'm just saying that was a big part.
They kept fighting with their neighbors because that's what happened in the boot of Italy at that time. That just was how shit happened, and they kept winning.
And that's the way the Iron Age worked for basically everybody.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they kept winning.
Yeah,
and but you don't see a shift in the farming in Rome until they defeat the Carthaginians, because then you have an influx of about 150,000 slaves, and so the rich get a lot richer. And then they start
overnight, because that kind of influx of random capital,
So America is not. It skipped over that part. Like you had stable yeomanry. In Rome for a few hundred years. That's the stuff that Horace was looking back to. That's what Livy was looking back to. That's the Rome was great back when we were poor. That Livy specifically says.
Okay.
And Jefferson cribbed that without actually doing the work for it. And Jackson he jumped from there.
Yeah.
Like, none of them actually had... There was not a time where America was just small farmers. You could say they were up in the north.
Interestingly enough, you could say, if you're talking about the rural countryside of Massachusetts, of Vermont, and
places near cities,
free states, and places near cities.
Places near cities were by necessity small farms.
You could say that.
Yeah.
But if you were a plantation owner, you had a vested interest in not noticing that.
And in expanding.
Yes, and in expansion, because that was your economic model for survival. Now, the Homestead Act.
Yes.
Allowed settlers to take ownership of land they essentially squatted on and improved. Now, it's important to note that the definition of improved was changing prairie into farmland. Cut down the native grass, cut down the trees, level it all out, irrigate it if you got to.
If you can keep it for, what is it, a year and a day or something like that? I want to say
it was some specific span of time. And then the promise made to freedmen in the wake of the Civil War, 40 acres and a mule, is tied to the same idea. Now, in this case, it's being pushed by the radical Republican Congress as part of Reconstruction. We have to take all these people who have been kept in a state of no education, kept in a state of bondage, we need to turn them into reliable citizens. How do we do that? We give them land.
We'll back it up just a hair.
We make them free farm. We make them yeomen.
Back it up just a hair. That was Jefferson's approach towards finger quote, civilizing the Indians.
Yeah.
Give them land, which is ironic, but make them farmers, also ironic. But it's kind of like we have people who aren't white that we've dispossessed for generations. How do we deal with it? Fuck, we'll give them land. Yes, how much? How much works for us? That much. Okay, good. Like, that seems to be... It's kind of like in the Odyssey and the Trojan War. Odysseus had the plan of hiding in the belly of the Trojan horse.
Yeah.
Later on, when he's trying to escape from Polyphemus, he has the idea of hiding under the bellies of larger animals. He really was a one-trick pony.
Yeah. Nice.
Thank you.
Scrofulent. Midden keeper.
But in terms of like that seems to be America's one solution.
Yeah,
it's baked into the culture.
It's baked into the culture because we had Jefferson as one of our founding fathers.
Right.
And because Jefferson was cribbing all of this from a bunch of ideas from the Enlightenment and taken from the fact that he was himself the descendant of a second son coming from the aristocracy in England, where what separated you from the peasants was you owned the land that the peasants were working on.
Right.
And I mean, I can get more into feudalism and say that, we then come back around to our D&D fighter, because the argument was, why do you own the land? Because I'm the one with the weapons and the armor to defend it.
By the way, Edward Gibbon's The Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire was published between 1776 and 1788, I want to say.
Yeah.
Right around the time where we're coming up with national policy.
Oh, yeah. Well, and Jefferson is known to have been a fan of Gibbon.
Yeah.
We know he was reading the Holy Daylights at everything Gibbon put out. We know that the other founding fathers were reading everything, because they were consciously, much like folks in the Renaissance had done, in the Enlightenment.
Yep.
They were looking back to the Romans, and in the case of the founders, they were looking at the Roman Republic and anything related to the Roman Republic as their inspiration. And so they had this glowing, soft focus, smear some Vaseline over the lens kind of view of what those systems had been, because, again, Livy never saw primary sources. Didn't never talked to an eyewitness he liked. And so, they had this very, very pronouncedly idealized view of this. And then this then got picked up as, this is how we're going to maintain an honest, virtuous republic going forward. And when that is the root stock that you're growing your tree from, the fruit that you're going to get at the end, even if you graft something else on there, the fruit or nuts, nuts in the case of our country, lots of nuts, that you're going to get at the end is going to be affected. There's going to be terroir, and I know I'm mispronouncing the French there, but it's the reason you plant roses at the end of a row of grapevines for wine, is because the rootstock affects the soil, which affects what goes into the grapes, which affects the aroma and everything that happens in the wine. It's a thing. Like, it sounds like pseudoscience, but it's demonstrably a thing.
Is that what rosé is?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that's a blend of red and whites.
Oh.
Basically.
One of us doesn't drink. Can you tell who it is?
Can you tell who it is? And the other one is married to a wine drinker, because one of us is a beer guy, but I'm wine adjacent. So, I genuinely coming back around to what we were talking about at the end of the last episode. The fighter, or actually first at the beginning of the last episode, the fighter is the most blood simple of all of the classes in basic D&D, or in AD&D. It has the least stringent stat requirements, gets absolutely the fewest toys and abilities. Like, if you're going to have somebody who's never played the game before, ever,
you always give them
show
a fighter.
up. It's like, here's a fighder. Just when it comes time, we'll tell you what to do when it comes time to when your turn comes around. Here's how we do stuff. Because they don't need to worry about spells. They don't need to worry about, rolling percentile dice, which kind of takes a little bit of a learning curve to get used to how that works. There's none of that going on. It's just, there are monsters, run up and hit them. Right? So,
it's a very democratized class.
Yeah, and
anyone can do it.
Yeah, and it only takes up. I'm going to show you the book here.
Yeah.
This right here, I'm at page 22 of the first edition AD&D Player's Handbook. This is a recent reprint, but all the formatting is exactly the same. It only takes up less than half of one page of page 22 in the book, and that's including the level advancement chart.
It's got 5 paragraphs. One of them has 2 sub-paragraphs to it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It is followed immediately by the Paladin, which starts on page 22, gets a full-page splash, one of the most iconic illustrations out of the PHB, a Paladin in Hell, on page 23, and then goes on to page 24 before, ending, and then you get the Ranger next. So, it gets nothing.
It's bare boned, yeah.
But it gets this automatically get rich at this level mechanic. Nobody else gets that. Paladins don't get it because paladins are holy warriors who aren't allowed to have excess wealth. But thieves, who you'd think, like, if there's any class
get
when
rich
you
quick.
get to a high level, it's like, okay, look, your whole class is about wealth acquisition.
Right.
You know, one of my friends who like to make fun of me because, again, if you're going to play a thief, call it a thief. Don't say rogue. One of the guys in a campaign I played in liked to refer to himself as a wealth reallocation engineer. Which I'm okay with that. It's really technical and flowery and sounds like a euphemism, but at least it's straight. It's honest.
Yeah.
And you'd think they would get that. You'd think, being a thief, you're going to form a gang. We're just going to make this simple and say you're going to get X amount of income a month because you've got cut purses working for you. They got to give you a cut, or you'll send one of your former soldier employees to go break their legs, to bring the Romans back into it.
Well, and the whole reason for a thief was, like you said, wealth acquisition.
Yeah.
What do I do? Oh, you see jewels encrusted on the wall. I steal some.
I'm picking them out. I got a dagger. I'm picking them out of the wall.
Right, and it's like, what purpose does that serve in the game? It really doesn't.
Yeah.
Other than to engage in the economy more. And
Well, yeah, and you get the ability to backstab.
Yeah.
And you're the in first edition AD&D, your whole thing is you are the skills guy. Monks didn't open doors in first edition.
Oh wow.
Thieves
How'd they get
doors.
anywhere?
Yeah, well. I'm referencing an in-joke from other campaigns that Damian has played in that I've heard about.
Ugh.
Or other games anyway.
3.0.
Yeah.
Oh. What are you going to play? I'm going to play a monk. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I open the door, run through it, and close it. Sorry, you got to the door. You're going to have to wait a whole round to open it. Okay, I open the door, I walk through.
And take a partial action.
Yeah. I open the door, I walk through, and I close it next turn. Well, you can open the door and walk through it, but you can't close it until the next round.
Because that's an action.
Right. Okay. The next round, I close it. All right, and then your friend gets to the door. I open the door, grab him, and then close it.
Can't do that.
You're going to have to wait. All right, I open the door, I grab my friend, then I close it. No, you don't.
So what do monks do?
Oh, after that, every time you had a big bad evil guy, all of his butlers were monks.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's funny. I like that. So, the thief is the skills guy. The wizard gets infinite cosmic power. The cleric is the guy you run to when you get smacked over the head. The fighter hits things over the head.
Yep.
Until
they fall.
And then, at high level, has this, I automatically get rich because I don't have anything else going for me kind of mechanic.
Right.
Thieves can establish a gang, but there's no guaranteed amount of income. Like, I can't harp on this quite enough.
Right.
Gygax didn't write thieves with an automatic amount of income.
Well, markets are fickle.
Well, yes. But, so are harvests. So are, taxation. Taxation fluctuates from year to year.
Yeah.
And if we're going to go under the assumption that you are a benevolent dictator over your happy farmers, if the harvest isn't any good and you're still charging them 7 silver pieces a head, you're kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You're literally rent seeking.
You literally, yes.
Well, and again, all your power stems from your ability to hit shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's see, again, this is like, and again, you were saying, who wants to go poke holes in all this? Come on, it's a decimal system for money. Why do you got to go get like that?
Right.
There are plenty of other people who are right now listening to us talk about this going, why do you have to get all morally philosophical? Come on, for God's sake.
Just want to hit dragons, man.
I just want to go beat up dragons. Well, dragons are intelligent beings. I'm just going to say...
This is not untrue.
And so, you're killing a sentient creature there,
And you invaded its house.
And you showed up in its home.
It has the right to stand its ground.
Specifically to steal all of its shit. And yes, it does have the right to stand its ground. So I mean, yeah, we can get into, how ethical is murder hobo and really,
But this game clearly has set up fight privilege.
Well, yeah, clearly. Wait, except that you wind up being the guy with all the privilege. Wait. Oh my God, it's making a philosophical statement about the wheel of revolution, and oh my God, this just got a lot deeper. No, really, it isn't. It can be if you're pointy-headed like we are, but what I come back to here in my notes, which you already brought up, is that idea, that inherent idea of virtue. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, the assumption that Gygax is making, just in the way this is just this matter of fact, okay, look, you're going to get 7 silver pieces ahead from all these people. Figure out roughly how many people it's going to be between you and your DM,
right.
And here's how it works. And of course, the whole game is built around the idea that you are the good guy.
Right.
Unless you intentionally decide you're going to be a bad guy. Mm-hmm. And Gygax had very pointed opinions about trying to run an evil party. He said it doesn't work. If you're playing true to your alignment, you can't actually make it work. Because evil is all, consumes itself. And if you're all evil, you're going to stab each other in the back, murder each other, whatever. You can't hang together.
Right.
Now, it's interesting to note that one of the iconic characters from the beginning of the game, Lord Robilar, who his name shows up in a number of magical items from the DMG because... Okay. But anyway, Lord Robilar was lawful evil and was known at higher level for getting through dungeons through liberal use of hirelings as cannon fodder.
Oh, Lord.
He was the first player to figure out, okay, wait, so hold on. According to what you're telling me, I can hire guys to act as tanks for me for this many silver pieces a day per head, right? Silver piece a day per head, right? Okay, figure out my income. How much money have I got in reserve? Okay. All right, so based on what I know about what we're going up against, I can afford to lose 20 guys.
Wow.
Did the math, and no, we're getting through this dungeon. It's just a question of how much capital am I going to lose on the way? And by capital, I mean how many mercenaries' lives am I going to spend?
Right. And since it's my expenditure, I get first pick of the treasure.
Well, yeah.
Predatory capitalism.
Well, yeah. Yeah. End stage capitalism.
Yep.
Envisioned in a fantasy game. So, and that's pretty much, I mean, where this all ends up.
Yeah.
Is this very clearly the world building has these assumptions baked into it. Right. This is another one of those cases of walking into a room and going, wait, that's the pattern on the wallpaper. Mm-hmm. For me. Yeah. When we started talking about doing the podcast. Sure. Trying to think of what can I connect to what. At first, this was something that I was like, well, it sounds pretty pointy-headed and like a lot of a stretch. Mm-hmm. But the more I researched what agrarianism was, how it worked historically, and then really just looked at what's on the page, it's again one of those kind of Slender Man moments. Wait, he was hiding in the closet the whole time, kind of things. Right. And like I said last time, and like you've been at pains to point out, like making that leap before me, this is a regional thing. This is a very American thing. In my notes, I didn't go so far as to say regional. I think there is something to regional. Mm-hmm. But I think at its very basis, this is a very American game because we are the biggest example of the most successful example of a colonial nation becoming a republic and then having to take that colonial nature and then run with it. Yeah. And the way that colonialism gets expressed, that idea that you go out into the wilderness, this is what you do, and you get an income and you spread civilization, and the underlying assumption is this is a good thing, because this was an era of popular fantasy before we started thinking about, orcs are people too, which is another episode I have in mind that I'm going to rant about, and I'm not going to come down on the side you might think from the way we're talking in this episode. Okay. But anyway... This was, no, they're orcs. You hit them over the head, they die. They're there to be the disposable army of evil. Right. And that's it. And so, going out and driving them out of the area and letting, civilized, settled humans and halflings and dwarves and maybe a couple of elves show up and settle and do this is inherently a good thing.
Yeah.
Is this very American, very frontier mentality.
It's manifest
destiny.
Yeah.
So that's my thesis. That is the closure of my thesis. And I just wonder if Gygax had been a European, if he'd been English, if his attitude toward this kind of thing would have been the same, or how different it would have been. Because again, of course, Great Britain was the largest of all of the imperial powers.
Right.
So, like, how would that have looked differently? If he had been German, how profoundly would it have been different? If he had not been a middle-class white guy, which historically, having the ability to spend the time and the effort to develop this hobby into this business means he would have had to be. But if he'd come from any other kind of background, how would this have looked different? And it's interesting to note that a lot of the games that we've played since AD&D have been written by people from different backgrounds.
That's true. From
a European outlook, from a millennial outlook in the last few years, from other there have been other lenses pointed at these same kinds of ideas, and they've all in one way or another been reacting to what Gygax and Arneson, although Arneson didn't come up with this mechanic, so I'm not picking on him today, but they're all reacting to this. And so this is an inescapable part of geek culture.
Right.
That
if you play a tabletop game,
this
you're responding to this.
One way or another, somehow there's some part of what you're doing that is some kind of reaction to it. And again, it's the pattern on the wallpaper. It's the water we're swimming in as fish.
Yeah.
And so there you go.
So the logical outcropping ends up being, if you're a fighter, and the whole point of being a fighter is to fight. It's in the name.
Yeah.
And to overcome and essentially to dominate.
Yes.
And so the end game for the fighter, and it wasn't quite the end game because you could get to level 11.
Yeah.
But the end game, and I assume level 11 is just like better versions of being a lord.
Yeah, essentially.
But the end game for being a fighter was one of dominion, one of domination.
Yes.
And of dominating essentially nameless, faceless masses.
Yes. Well, NPCs at this stage of the development of the hobby, NPCs don't matter.
Right.
And NPCs are props.
Right.
For whatever gets you to the next combat encounter. So the faceless part, I think, is worth consideration, but I think it's just that, again, it's a default part of the of the rest of the level of the art at this point in its history.
Yeah, that's something.
I'm
just thinking about like what it took to be a farmer, a yeoman farmer, and there were all kinds of efforts to allow any squatters that chance.
Yeah.
There were all kinds of programs set up to encourage people to go do it.
Yeah.
There were all sorts of avenues of entry to that in the history of our country, in the early nascent part at least. Almost all of it involved taking land from someone else or finally using the land that had been taken from someone else.
Yeah.
And you had to go through a certain period of time of being impoverished before you could get to it.
Yeah.
And then I think about being a fighter, it has the lowest requirements of any of the requirements. Long as you have a 9 strength, you can do this.
Yeah.
Both of those are inherently democratic.
Yeah.
both of those are inherently egalitarian.
Yeah.
And yet both of those are just like the
stepping stone to elitism.
Yeah.
Now, something I want to point out,
Yeah.
and I think this gets overlooked in discussions of our American mentality about the frontier. We know now from the historical record that the land that your ancestors and mine expanded onto across the continent as a couple of white guys had been the property of other people before us. But our perception of it is moving out into the trackless wilderness.
Right.
And the reason for that is because the Native American population had been so vastly decimated by disease before Englishmen showed up on the continent.
Yeah, wiped out like 95%.
95 plus percent.
Enormous plague.
And the survivors were living in what for them was a post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was essentially it was the 17th century version of Mad Max for them.
Right.
You know, because all of the prior social structures they'd had completely fallen apart just because of the massive mortality. And they were a, desperate, struggling group of survivors. And so, the perception of, when the Pilgrims moved out into the forests, and when the other people in the north moved out into the forests, and when folks in the south moved and established plantations on whatever land they did, to them it was just empty land lying around not being used. And the people who had a claim to it were different enough that they I mean, we can get into the othering of the people who were there before, but there's a very big part of the mentality was just, well, there's nobody using it,
right?
So it's the wilderness. So it's not like we're stealing. And again, we get back to this mentality of, well, moving out there and doing this is a good thing,
right?
We're
by virtue of your virtue, you will
by
it.
Virtue of your virtue, I love that phrase. That's a good one. And so I think that bears mentioning as part of this discussion when we're talking about that.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
So now, ultimately, the end of all of it,
yes,
having gone over all of that and having, again, revisited the stuff that was our takeaway at the end last time, is there any elaboration on that or anything you take away from it now? Thinking about it specifically in light, maybe, of the specific policies that were enacted or whatever, just to throw some out there.
I think of Oklahoma.
Okay.
I
try not to.
Yeah, well,
my grandmother's from there.
Sure.
And
I think of the Sooners.
Okay.
As modern day, or latter.
Modern era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think of the people who squatted, like you were saying,
the Homestead Act.
Yeah. I think of that kind of stuff as absolutely, and again, those areas would have influenced Gary Gygax culturally. It would have been a part of the local imagination.
Definitely.
And I think that I'm curious as to comparing that first ed to fifth ed, because 5e doesn't really talk about property at all. I mean, hell, it barely talks about having a mount.
Yeah.
It's really become a footman's game.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's much, and of course it's a very different game, but it has none of that stuff to it. There's a few tables of things to buy as you pass through town, but now it's much more the gig economy in 5e.
I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, there's a generational element to it as well.
Yes.
5th edition is, you and I are both Xers, late Xers, but Xers nonetheless.
Yep.
The guys writing the people, because it's not just men, but the people writing 5th edition are enough years younger than the two of us that they're millennials.
Yeah.
They're probably older millennials, but they're part of a newer generation.
Yes, they are.
For whom the economic assumptions are different. Mm-hmm. And so, that's a meaningful argument, and that's probably something one of us ought to take a look at and delve into as looking at the development of the editions over time. I think that'd be something
would be cool.
Something to look at for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll let you do that because I'm doing a wrestling over time compared to Friends.
Right.
It's going to be a long time before I have a podcast for it because I'm in 1996.
Jesus.
I started in 1983.
And Nomine Patria, Filius, Spiritus Sancti.
Yeah, there's some really good wrestling through the whole thing.
I'm sure.
And in fairness, Friends didn't start until 94.
Yeah.
So I mean, but it's a fun thing.
Well, the wrestling, you're having more fun watching the wrestling than Friends.
Yeah.
So,
although there are decided shifts that are happening.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, we've talked about
predict politics now, all the way back in 96, in the wrestling, and in Friends.
Really?
Yeah, but that's going to be for another podcast.
Episode.
Yeah. But I like the idea of a longevity study between the different editions. Yeah. Like I said, there was a good amount of simulationism going on. And 3.0 and 3.5 was a great way to turn the simulationism into a game.
Yeah.
But it was still simulative.
It was heavily simulative.
And then I think honestly, a great episode would be like the Edition Wars.
Oh yeah,
I look forward to hearing that from you.
Now that we talked about it,
yeah,
I'm gonna have to sit down and do it.
That sounds good.
So,
well, in the meantime, where can people find you to yell at you about how wrong you were about
all of this,
not ever mentioning Thaco?
I liked Thaco. I have fond memories of 2nd edition. I liked Thaco a lot. They can reach me at EH Blaylock on Twitter. They can reach both of us at Geek History Time.
Yep.
On Twitter, and they can reach you at
Harmony.
Harmony.
On Twitter.
All right.
So yeah, you can find me in these streets.
And you can go to our website.
Yes.
www.geekhistorytime.com.
Yep.
I don't know if we have a comments option.
There's a comments option.
There is a comments option set up. Nobody's used it yet.
Yep.
Feel free to
be the first.
And
if you're the first, I will make sure that you are entered into a raffle when you get to heaven.
Wait.
What?
No, there's been a whole reformation about that.
Okay, you can tell you what, you can
and
also...
you're the atheist at the table, so what the hell? I'm the Catholic. Right. Stop working my side of the street.
Fair. All right, I tried, people. So
I'll make sure to have a novum said for you if you're the first one.
You're really not going to indulge me on this?
I just did. No, I'm not even.
All right. Well,
oh man.
For Geek History, Geek History of Time, I am Damian Harmony.
And I'm Ed Blaylock, and keep rolling 20s.
Unless you're going after my Thaco, in which case roll a 1.